Don't anger humans. They have a special place in hell. HFY Stories. The universe, a vast expanse of stars, galaxies, and species, had known peace for millennia. Across the infinite stretches of space, civilizations rose and fell, but none had ever truly crossed the line until they encountered humans. The first contact was not what the Galactic Council had expected. They had expected diplomats, negotiators, the usual peaceful introductions. What they got was a species that wore its rage on its sleeve and had an unmatched capacity for survival, revenge, and unrelenting determination. At first, the other species laughed. Humans were small, fragile by galactic standards, and they lacked the immense psychic powers or the advanced technology of the more established civilizations. Surely, they thought, it would be easy to control them. It was a foolish assumption. The human race had endured wars, plagues, famine, and hardships that no other species could imagine. They were survivors, molded by generations of struggle and triumph. Their tenacity was their greatest asset, and when provoked, when their anger was stirred, it became a force that no one could foresee. It started with the Track, an insectoid race known for their ruthless expansionism. They arrived on Earth with the intention of enslaving humanity, stripping the planet of its resources, and using humans as labor. The Track had done it countless times to weaker species. Earth would be no different, they thought. But they had underestimated humanity's capacity for wrath. The Track made their first mistake by underestimating the humans' willingness to fight back. They arrived expecting to easily subjugate a species of little consequence. What they found instead was a planet that, despite its wars and internal conflicts, had a deeply ingrained sense of unity when their survival was threatened. The first wave of the Track was annihilated by Earth's combined forces. The humans, united in their fury, fought with a savagery that the Track had never witnessed before. The fight was brutal, and it left a scar on the Track Empire's reputation. They were used to crushing resistance, but this was different. Humans fought like they had nothing left to lose. The Track thought they could win by simply sending more forces. They didn't understand that each time they pushed, each time they tried to break the spirit of humanity, they only made the humans angrier. Soon, every human on Earth became a soldier in the fight, and the Track were forced to retreat. But this was only the beginning. The next to come were the Vryans, a telepathic race known for their ability to influence minds. They arrived on Earth with an offer, peace through assimilation. They claimed to be a peaceful species that only sought to help humanity evolve, offering a life of perfection and unity under their guidance. They tried to invade human minds, bending them to their will. The Vryans made a grave mistake. They didn't account for the human spirit, which was immune to their telepathic influence. While they could control minds in countless other species, the minds of humans were chaotic, unpredictable, and filled with an irrepressible will. A single human, one who had been captured and subjected to Vryan manipulation, broke free. The Vryans were stunned when he turned the tables, using his own mind to disrupt their connection and send them into disarray. The rebellion spread like wildfire, each human, upon discovering the truth, fighting to retain their freedom. They weren't just defending their minds, they were defending everything they had built, everything they loved. The Vryans quickly learned that humans were not a species to be easily subdued. They tried to reason with them, to offer them a peaceful existence, but the humans were already beyond their reach. With every attempt to control them, the Vryans only hardened humanity's resolve. The invasion ended with a treaty, signed not out of mutual respect, but out of necessity. The Vryans were forced to acknowledge the humans' independence, and the agreement included one unspoken clause: never again would the Vryans meddle in human affairs. By now, the story of humanity's wrath had spread across the galaxy. The Track, the Vryans, and countless others had learned the hard way that to anger humanity was to unleash something far more dangerous than they had ever anticipated. It wasn't just physical might or advanced weaponry, it was their sheer will to survive, their ability to push beyond the limits of what any other species could endure. And it wasn't just the rage of individual humans that terrified the galaxy. It was the collective anger of billions, united in a single purpose: the fear of a race that had once been on the brink of annihilation, but had refused to bow to any conqueror, spread like wildfire. The Galactic Council convened in secret, desperate to avoid further conflict with the humans. They began to craft policies, creating zones where humans were off limits, seeking to avoid provoking them, because, deep down, the council members knew the truth. Humans didn't just survive, they thrived in chaos. They didn't fear the dark corners of the universe. They had stared into the void and conquered it. And for those who would anger them, the warning was clear. Humans have a special place in hell, and they're not afraid to take you there. Don't anger humans, they have a special place in hell. HFY Stories, Part 2. The galaxy had learned a hard truth: humans were not to be trifled with. But not all species were convinced that humanity's place in the cosmos was secure. A new threat emerged from the shadows, a race known as the Jacro, who believed that fear was the only true path to control. They were conquerors by nature, having enslaved entire systems with their ruthlessness and cunning. Their power lay in their ability to infiltrate, destabilize, and break a species from the inside out. The Jacro were not foolish. They knew the stories. They knew the track. The Vryans and the others had underestimated humans and paid the price. So, they approached with caution, hoping to manipulate the humans before they could retaliate. They offered trade, technology, and peace. The Jacro were patient hunters, and they thought they could slowly break the human spirit, turning them into pawns in their galactic chessboard. But the Jacro made a grave miscalculation. They underestimated humanity's suspicion. While they tried to win over human leaders with their advanced technology, they did not understand the one thing that made humans truly unique: their ability to read between the lines, their ability to perceive a lie buried in a smile, a threat wrapped in a promise. It began with a few scattered reports, whispers from the fringes of space. Humans weren't fooled. They noticed the subtle manipulations, the undercurrent of control behind every offer of friendship. They began to question the Jacro's true motives. And it didn't take long for the truth to emerge. The Jacro were setting a trap, using diplomacy as a cover for their invasion. When the humans discovered this plot, their response was swift and decisive. No lengthy negotiations, no pleas for peace. It was simple and primal: survive, fight back, and make sure the Jacro knew they had made a grave mistake. The Jacro tried to retaliate, launching a full-scale attack on Earth's colonies. Believing that a direct assault would crush humanity's resistance, they sent fleets of ships, armed with devastating weapons that could obliterate planets in minutes. But they had forgotten one critical thing: human ingenuity. Humans didn't rely on sheer force alone. They adapted, innovated, and they fought with everything they had. The Jacro ships were ambushed, their fleets broken apart by humans using tactics no one had ever seen before. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and yet, they had a single advantage: their refusal to back down. In one final act of defiance, the humans hijacked a Jacro flagship. They turned its weapons against the invaders, and in a matter of days, the entire Jacro invasion force was either destroyed or in full retreat. The Jacro realized the cost of their failure far too late. As the last of the Jacro forces were driven off, the Galactic Council trembled. They had seen what humans were capable of, and they had learned to fear it. No one dared approach Earth for fear of triggering the wrath of a species that could not be controlled. But humanity's reputation didn't just remain within the galaxy, it began to spread beyond it. Other species, hearing the stories of the Jacro's defeat, began to see Earth as something more than just another planet in the galaxy. They saw it as a place of power, where the laws of survival were not bound by the same rules that governed other species. It was a place where even the smallest of humans could rise and challenge entire civilizations. The stories began to take on a life of their own. Across the stars, civilizations would whisper, "Never anger the humans. They have a place in hell that is reserved for those who think they can conquer them." And they were right. Humans were not just survivors, they were the bearers of a fire that would never be extinguished, a rage that could shake the universe itself. It wasn't just a matter of defeating invaders. It was about sending a message, one that would echo through time. The universe was a dangerous place, but those who threatened humanity would never know peace again. When humanity's wrath was unleashed, it didn't just crush its enemies, it left a permanent scar on the galaxy's history. Back on Earth, as humans continued to rebuild after their victory, the message was clear. They didn't need to conquer other planets to prove their worth. The humans had earned their place in the cosmos not through domination, but through sheer determination, survival, and an unyielding spirit that no one, no matter how advanced or powerful, could break. And the galaxy would never forget it. Don't anger humans, the legend said, because when they fight back, they don't just win, they make sure you remember why you should have stayed far, far away. Don't anger humans, they have a special place in hell. HFY Stories, Part 3. Despite the galaxy's growing wariness of humanity, there was always someone brave, foolish, or desperate enough to challenge the truth of the legends. It was a natural part of existence, those who would test the limits, those who thought they could bend the rules to their will. And so, the next challengers to humanity's wrath arrived. They were known as the Dvara, a species of hyperintelligent, cold-blooded conquerors with the ability to manipulate time. Their civilizations spanned centuries, and their power was undeniable. They controlled entire sectors with ease, and their reputation was built on the ability to defeat anyone who opposed them. The Dvara had heard the stories of humanity, of how they had routed the track, turned the Vryans' mind control technology against them, and obliterated the Jakro with nothing but raw, unrelenting fury. But the Dvara were different. They had no interest in fighting humanity directly. Instead, they planned something far more insidious. Their scheme was simple yet cruel. They would erase humanity from history itself. By using their ability to manipulate time, they would travel back and prevent humanity from ever rising to prominence. No human resistance, no anger, just a timeline where Earth had never been anything more than a backwater planet, unworthy of notice. At first, the humans had no idea the Dvara had arrived. The Dvara had already begun their work, subtly altering the timeline, erasing moments of significance that shaped the human race. They wiped key figures from history, erased pivotal wars, and twisted events so that humanity would remain weak and fragmented. They believed that by removing the pivotal catalysts of human resilience, they could break the cycle and keep humanity from ever standing up to them. But the Dvara had made the fatal error of thinking that humans were simply products of time, that their greatness was an accident, a fluke of history. They had no idea that humanity's strength wasn't just in their survival, but in their ability to adapt, to learn, and to overcome impossible odds. It didn't take long for the humans to notice the disturbances. Small anomalies at first, reports of missing data, unexplained changes in the past, and whispers of a strange presence in the fabric of time. And then, the memories began to shift. A few notable individuals who had been erased from history began to appear again. People who were central to the human spirit, their accomplishments, their courage, and their triumphs. When they returned, the Dvara's tampering started to unravel. With every change they made, the humans grew stronger. The legends of human heroes, of great moments in history, began to reappear, reasserting their place in the timeline, like an unstoppable current. The Dvara thought their victory was close, until they encountered the true nature of humanity. It wasn't the individual moments or historical figures that made humans powerful. It was the collective memory of every human, passed down through generations, that kept them connected to their roots, their struggles, and their shared resolve. Humanity, in all its imperfect chaos, was a force of will that nothing could erase. Soon, the humans realized that they were facing an enemy who had distorted time itself, and in a truly human fashion, they turned the tables. A team of human scientists, historians, and military strategists began to track the temporal changes. They found a way to reverse the Dvara's alterations, not by erasing them, but by making time itself fight back. Humanity, in its defiance, built a machine that anchored them to the timeline, a device that made their existence impervious to manipulation. And then came the final confrontation. The Dvara, in a final attempt to erase humanity from the timeline for good, arrived in full force to face the humans who had begun to fight back. But they weren't prepared for what happened next. The humans didn't fight with weapons alone. They fought with their very existence. They fought with the stories of their past, the strength of their unity, and the memory of every individual who had ever believed that humanity could rise above the darkness. The Dvara tried to alter time, to erase the humans once more, but their efforts were futile. The humans had become a constant in the universe, a force that even time itself couldn't alter. The Dvara realized, too late, that they had underestimated the power of a species that had always fought for its place in the stars. In the final moments of the battle, the humans turned the Dvara's time manipulation devices against them, and the conquerors were sent spiraling into a loop, trapped in the very time stream they had sought to control. no one would ever hear from the Dvara again. With the Dvara defeated, humanity's reputation spread farther than ever before. No longer just a species of survivors, the humans had become an undeniable force of nature, unshakable and eternal. They were no longer just a threat to conquerors. They were a reminder to the galaxy of what it meant to fight for your place in the universe. The other species that had once doubted humanity learned to respect their resilience, but they also feared it. The Galactic Council, which had once toyed with the idea of keeping humanity in check, now knew better. No one dared challenge the humans anymore. The lessons had been learned, and the fear was real. The stories of humanity's wrath became more than just legends. They were warnings. Warnings to those who thought they could bend time, space, or fate itself to their will. Warnings to those who believed they could control a species that had never known defeat. And above all, the message was clear. Don't anger humans. They have a special place in hell, and they will take you there. You don't get to decide who survives in this universe. They do. And so, humanity stood, stronger than ever, with their place in the stars secured, not because they were invincible, but because they would never stop fighting. Because when the darkness came, humans would always rise, and they would never, ever, bow to anyone again. Don't anger humans. They have a special place in hell. HFY Stories, Part 4. The galaxy had learned many things over the years, but perhaps the greatest lesson of all was this: never, ever underestimate humans. Every time they were tested, every time they were pushed to the edge, they fought back, not just with weapons or strategies, but with their unyielding spirit. And yet, despite the galaxy's growing wariness, there were always those who believed themselves above the lesson. One such group was the Gorath, a race of ancient beings whose civilization spanned millennia. The Gorath were known for their advanced bioengineering, creating creatures that could rival entire armies, and for their arrogance. They had conquered countless worlds and bent lesser species to their will, weaving a tapestry of controlled populations and enslaved colonies. But when they heard the rumors about humanity's victories, their response was one of dismissive arrogance. Humans are nothing more than a fluke, the Gorath said to each other. Their survival is an anomaly, a result of luck, but they will fall, like every other weak species, when faced with true power. The Gorath believed that humanity's success in the past had been a mere series of fortunate coincidences. They thought they could test this hypothesis by introducing the ultimate test. They would invade Earth, not with an army, but with something far more dangerous: corruption. The Gorath had perfected the art of biological manipulation. They had crafted parasites capable of infiltrating and controlling the minds of other species. These parasites would latch onto the host's neural system, gradually rewriting their personality, making them obedient servants of the Gorath. The Gorath believed that humanity, with its vast population and reliance on complex systems, would be helpless against such an insidious attack. So, the Gorath arrived in secret, planting their parasites deep within Earth's atmosphere. They allowed the parasites to spread, infecting everything from the smallest insect to the largest human cities. At first, nothing seemed amiss. People went about their lives, unaware that their bodies were now hosts to a hidden parasite, slowly working to bend them to the Gorath's will. But the humans had faced far worse than simple mind control. Theirs was a race of survivors, and when the Gorath's parasites began to take hold, something unexpected happened. Rather than bending to the parasite's will, humanity's immune system recognized the threat and fought back. It wasn't a typical immune response. Humans were not simply defending their bodies, they were defending their minds, their very identity. Each infected human became a battleground for a war between the parasite and the mind of the host. Over the course of weeks, small but significant pockets of resistance formed. People who were once unaware of the parasite's influence now began to resist, pushing back against their would-be controllers. They communicated in secret, sharing their experiences and strategies, and soon the entire world was united in a fight against an unseen enemy. The Gorath, watching from the shadows, were initially confident that their plan would succeed. They had seen how their parasites had broken every species they had ever used them on, but they had not expected humanity's resilience. The human spirit, they realized, was not something they could simply manipulate or subvert. It was far too strong. In the end, humanity didn't just fight back, they adapted. They used the same ingenuity that had brought them from the brink of extinction to craft a solution, a virus specifically designed to target and destroy the Goroth parasites. It spread quickly, eradicating the invaders from every human host and purging the Earth of the Goroth's influence. The Goroth, seeing their carefully laid plans unravel, attempted to launch a full-scale invasion, hoping to crush humanity's defiance. But it was too late. The virus they had designed had created a new weapon, a global network of humans, free from the parasites' control, united by their shared experience of resistance. Earth's military forces were mobilized, and in a coordinated strike, humanity destroyed the Goroth ships that had remained hidden in orbit, sending the Goroth retreating once again. In the aftermath, the Goroth were forced to acknowledge the truth that so many before them had learned the hard way: humans were not to be underestimated. They had not only defeated the biological invasion but had turned it into a defining victory. The Goroth were forced to flee, their dreams of controlling Earth and its people dashed once again. But what truly left the greatest impact on the galaxy was the message humanity sent to the rest of the universe. The Goroth had arrived with the belief that they could simply break humanity, that they could use their advanced technology to manipulate and control. Instead, humanity had adapted and prevailed, as they always did. The legend of humanity's resilience, of their refusal to be broken, spread across the stars like wildfire. The message was clear: no matter the odds, no matter the size of the enemy, humanity would stand firm. And the galaxy learned once again that there was a special place in hell for those who sought to conquer humans. For every species that thought they could break humanity, that thought they could twist or control them, the warning echoed: don't anger humans. They have a special place in hell, and you don't want to be the one they send there. The galaxy would never forget the lessons taught by the humans. But humanity's true strength wasn't just in its ability to survive or fight back, it was in the unyielding, unbreakable will of every single human. It was in their capacity to adapt, to find a way, even when the odds seemed impossible. It was in their refusal to bow to any conqueror, any invader, no matter how advanced, no matter how powerful. And in the vastness of space, there was one truth that all would come to understand: humanity would never be defeated. No matter what, they would rise again, and they would make sure that the galaxy remembered why they had earned their place in the stars.